Alright, continuing on with the Sabrina Carpenter outfit-inspired Halloween costume. That's a mouthful. That's what she said. We're continuing on with this little number, the black and silver rendition of the miniskirt in X cross top. I managed to find this one, although the neck piece that keeps the neck up was broken, so no one else wanted it, but I knew I could make it work. And I'll tell you ahead of time, there's a lot of math in this costume and a lot of patterning. But once the math is done and you can make up the pattern, you only have to cut the pattern to the size as you go. For starters, just so I knew I could do it, as it got overwhelming the first time and I tried and put it down for literal weeks. I used a paper pattern to what the neckline would be. By neckline, I mean the part that goes purely around and above the neck area, making sure it would cover the entire black portion and have about a quarter seam allowance on both sides. I didn't cut this into an exact straight line, as you'll see now and in the future in the video, but all worked out. Once I got the measurement of how wide I needed each paper to be, I used up the rest of the roll that I had and basically cut it to the width a bunch of times and then taped them all together, which gave me the same pattern for all of the silver that I would need around the neck top, the neck bottom, that also connects to the boobie area, as well as eventually around the back. When I say this is a lot of math and patterning, I meant before I even got to this point. Once I decided to do it as simple and best as I could, this is what I'm actually showing you guys. Because the black and the silver I will be using are both stretchy fabrics, they are forgiving. Therefore, any pattern that needed to have a curve to it, I simply did it straight and then the fabric made it curve itself. As I placed the piece of paper on, I stretched both of the fabrics together and pinned. The portion that connects above the chest, I did cut at a bit of an angle, but it doesn't really matter because I got the excess underneath the neck portion anyways. And away we go. I got this very sparkly silver fabric and I am simply placing down my piece of paper one at a time and using a rotary cutter to cut them all out. Hearing some nice little ASMR moments along the way. When I got the top portion done, I did cut off the one button that this piece had left so I could put it through my machine easier and then pinned the silver fabric to the shirt, including some generous overhang on each end. The only part I didn't sew was that of the top middle portion where the X connects, because I will be using that later on to hide later layers. Ooh, that's a mouthful too. I started the sewing after that neck portion I was skipping, and then one continuous sew job beyond that. I'm hoping I'm making sense here. If I'm being honest, you probably could just use fabric glue to do this, but I wanted it to be a little bit more permanent. I also didn't have the length of the silver fabric that I needed for this, so I cut out multiple strips. And because I wouldn't be sewing down all of the edges at one time, I pre-tucked the edges, pinned those down. And then pre-sewed them all before sewing them onto the shirt. When I had all of my seams down, I placed them onto the shirt, with all of the sides I didn't pre-flip to the inside, but being sure that all of the front was equal widths, if that makes sense. So you may notice that some of the back parts that I'm sewing down are longer than the others, and that was to compensate for the excess on the front, instead of putting it in the front and having it look weird and uneven. This is also where I attached all 3 pieces together, overlapping them with about an inch of fabric, and also sewing down the overlap, making a capital T on every overlap a little bit later on. Once that was sewed up, I continued the front. Which is where I now tuck the top portion under the flap. Ew. Of the first neck piece that I cut, eventually sewing that entire piece down as well, and connecting the two. Once I had the confidence to actually continue on with this, I used the patterns to make the bottom of the shirt. This would be a little different though, as I wasn't doing a simple straight pattern. I had a little bit of a point to it, and I do that twice at opposing ends. Instead of relying on the fabric stretch to give me my shape, this had to be doubled up, so I used the pattern that I previously had, placed it down on the silver fabric, used a pin to show where the bottom was, and then flipped it so I had it doubled up. I continued on with the pre-seaming of the fabric. There's definitely an actual word for this, I just don't know what that is. And then pinning it to the shirt to place it, and then pinning the pieces together at the tip, just the tip. Didn't have to work so hard at the snip because I could easily have pinned it at the tip. Sabrina would be so proud. The difference between this bottom piece and the top piece I added on, besides the tip portion, is that I didn't attach it as a whole piece at their bottom specifically. I sewed it all together at the top. Then I flipped up the bottom and flipped up the ends to go around the slits of the shirt, as hers do. To add a little bit more stability though, I added some ribbon to the back. In retrospect, I wish I'd used some like silver or white thread, but my mistake is your lesson. In the first portion of this attempt, the one where I gave up for a few weeks, I had put it on myself and pinned it where I wanted it to be shortened to and angled to, because this is not the size that I bought it at. I then sewed it to that length. This is where you will see how much I previously altered it.
One eternity later.
I then added on the one button that I previously cut off back onto it by hand sewing it. And then made sure it could actually take a pull. And then yes, continue the process one more time for the skirt. Cut that out. Did my thing with the pre-seaming. and sewed it on. Being sure once again to keep that slit there. And that is it for today's video. I know it was a long one and probably felt over-explained or confusing, but I hope the visuals helped. I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys, happy Halloween.
If I see Cillian Murphy, I'm probably gonna leave the party. I'm probably just gonna leave with him. I'm not gonna leave with him. I'm just gonna leave at the same time as him so I can see where he lives. So I can like follow his car.